That sound should make your heart race. So why doesn't it? You ever drive a modern sports car and just feel like something's missing? Like the numbers say it should be fast. The spec sheet looks insane. 0 to 60 in 3 point something. 400 horsepower. The internet says it's incredible. But you sit behind the wheel. You put your foot down. And somewhere in the back of your brain, something whispers, this doesn't feel right. This is a Dodge Viper. 1996. No traction control. No stability control. No power steering. No airbags on early models. It made 450 horsepower and weighed 3,300 pounds. And every single person who's ever driven one says the same thing. It felt alive. This is a Ferrari Roma. 2024, 612 horsepower. 8-speed dual clutch. Carbon ceramic brakes. 7 drive modes. It costs $230,000. And people who drive both almost universally say the Viper feels faster. Feels more exciting. Feels more like a sports car. How is that possible? How does a 30-year-old car with less power and worse tech feel more like a sports car than a brand new Ferrari? That feeling you have, it's not in your head. It's real. And today I'm going to prove it with data, with physics, and with receipts that are going to make you genuinely angry at the entire automotive industry. Hit that subscribe button for real car stories. Let's get into it. Now here's where the auto industry is going to push back on me. Hard. Cars aren't slower. Have you seen the numbers? Horsepower is at an all-time high. 0 to 60 times are faster than ever. What are you even talking about? And they're right. On paper, every number is better. More power. Faster lap times. Higher top speeds. But here's the thing about feelings. They don't care about spec sheets. Go to any car forum, any enthusiast community, and you'll find the same conversation happening over and over again. My new car is faster, but my old car was more fun. I miss my old Ferrari, the new one feels numb. More horsepower, but less excitement. This isn't a fringe opinion. This is a consensus among people who actually drive. And when you dig into why, when you actually look at the physics and the data, you find out that this feeling is completely, totally, 100% justified. Because there are 4 specific things that happened to sports cars over the last 30 years. For things that individually seem reasonable. But together, they killed the feeling. Wait. Electronics, market forces, and electrification. Let's go through every single one. Let's start with the elephant in the room. Or more accurately, the elephant in the car. Weight. The average sports car in 2024 weighs about 400 to 600 pounds more than its equivalent from 2000. And that's not because manufacturers got lazy. It's because they had no choice. Here's what your car is legally required to have today that it wasn't in 1990. Dual front airbags. Side curtain airbags. Knee airbags. A reinforced steel crash structure. Electronic stability control. Backup cameras. And in many markets, automatic emergency braking. That's before you even get to the sound deadening, the infotainment system, the heated seats, the panoramic sunroof that customers now expect as standard. This stuff alone, manufacturers add 40 to 80 pounds of this to modern sports cars because testers complained they were too loud in a sports car. And here's the brutal math. Every 100 pounds you add to a car costs you roughly 0.1 seconds in the 0 to 60. Sounds small. Add 500 pounds. That's half a second. That's enormous in the sports car world. The Mazda MX-5 Miata, the gold standard of lightweight sports cars, weighed 2,116 pounds in 1990. The 2024 version? 2,387 pounds. That's 271 pounds heavier, and it makes the same horsepower it did in 2019. Mazda has fought hard to keep it light, and it's still 271 pounds heavier. Imagine what's happened to cars that didn't fight. Now here's where it gets really interesting, because the industry just made the weight problem 10 times worse. Electrification. I'm not anti-EV. I'm not here to do that video. EVs are genuinely fast. But here's the thing nobody in the marketing materials mentions. A standard EV battery pack weighs between 1,000 and 1,800 pounds. The Dodge Charger Daytona, the so-called electric muscle car, weighs 5,060 pounds. A 1969 Dodge Charger, the actual muscle car, weighed 3,400 pounds. That's 1,660 pounds. Added, in the name of performance. And yes, The Charger Daytona does 0 to 60 in about 3.3 seconds. That's fast. But put it on a twisty road. Put it through a corner. That weight doesn't disappear just because you have instant torque. Physics doesn't care about your torque curve. And what about hybrid sports cars? The Ferrari SF90, the McLaren Artura. These are incredible machines. But the SF90 weighs 3,461 pounds. A classic Ferrari 360 Medina, also a Ferrari, also a supercar, weighed 3,197 pounds. The SF90 makes 3 times the power and weighs more. The weight always follows the power. And you, the driver, feel the weight more than the power. Okay, so we've got the weight problem. But there's another issue that I think is actually more frustrating. Because this one is completely invisible. When you drive a modern sports car with all the systems on, which is how 90% of buyers drive them 100% of the time, you are not driving the car. You are making suggestions to the car. The throttle response is filtered. The steering feel is managed. The power is metered out by a computer that has decided how much you can handle. A 1992 Honda NSX, a car designed by Ayrton Senna, had no traction control, no stability control, no power steering, no ABS in early models. It weighed 2,712 pounds and made 270 horsepower. A 2024 Honda Civic Type R makes 315 horsepower, weighs 3,100 pounds, and has 4 different drive modes, torque vectoring, and an electronic limited-slip differential managed by 3 separate control units. Which one makes you feel more alive? And here's the insidious part. The electronics aren't just a safety net anymore. They're hiding the car's limitations, covering for chassis that aren't as sharp as they used to be, masking weight that shouldn't be there. The experience has been curated, filtered, made safe for mass consumption. And in doing so, something real was lost. Here's a stat that blew my mind when I first saw it in a survey by car gurus. 68% of sports car buyers said that interior quality and technology features ranked higher in their purchase decision than handling or performance feel. So manufacturers responded. Of course they did. Why make a lighter, rawer, more demanding car when the customer wants a quiet, comfortable, connected sports car with a 12-inch touchscreen and a Bose sound system? Look at the inside of a 1995 Porsche 911. Thin carpet, simple gauges, hard plastic. It's basically a racing car with a radio. Look at the inside of a 2024 Porsche 911. It's a luxury vehicle, a genuinely, beautifully appointed luxury vehicle, with a digital dashboard, ambient lighting, ventilated seats, and a head-up display. It's stunning, and it weighs more than a baby elephant. The market pulled sports cars toward luxury. And luxury is heavy. Luxury is soft. Luxury is insulated from the road. Sports cars tried to be everything to everyone. And in doing so, they stopped being one specific thing really, really well. Okay, I don't want to leave you completely depressed, because there are manufacturers fighting back, and they deserve to be celebrated. Lotus. For decades, Colin Chapman's mantra was simplify and add lightness. The new Emira? Bit heavier than we'd like. But Lotus just announced the Electra and Emaya, electric SUVs, and the profits from those are reportedly funding a new lightweight sports car program. A return to roots. Alpine. The A110 is genuinely one of the great driver's cars of the last decade. It weighs about 2,400 pounds. It makes 300 horsepower. And it feels like a car from another era in the best possible way. Toyota GR86. Weighs under 2,800 pounds, makes 228 horsepower, and it's maybe the most fun you can have for under $35,000. Toyota deliberately refused to add more power because they didn't want to have to add weight to manage it. That's a manufacturer making a principled stand. Respect. And then there's the extreme end. Caterham, Ariel Atom, BAC Mono. These companies said fine, if mainstream manufacturers won't build a pure driver's car, we will. No doors, no roof, no sound deadening, no backup camera, just you, an engine, and 4 wheels. These cars are growing in popularity, and I think that tells you something important. So where does this end? I think we're heading toward a split market. On one side, you've got the mainstream sports cars, really GT cars, luxury performance vehicles, getting heavier, more electric, more capable on paper, and more isolated from the driver. And I actually think that second market is going to get more interesting as the mainstream moves away. Because the enthusiasts get concentrated, the demand gets clearer. We might see the return of the true lightweight sports car, not as the standard, but as the premium option for people who actually drive. The question is whether the big manufacturers will see it, whether they'll have the courage to build something that some customers will find too hard, too loud, too demanding. The Porsche 911 GT3 RS suggests some of them still will. The Lotus Emira suggests some of them are trying. The Toyota GR division suggests someone at a big manufacturer gets it. But the trend? The overall direction? It's toward more. More tech. More weight. More everything. Except the one thing that used to matter most, which is the feel. If you made it this far, you're exactly the kind of person I make these videos for. Someone who actually cares about this stuff. Drop a comment below. What do you think is the last great pure sports car ever built? I read every single one. Subscribe for more car stories, and I'll see you in the next one.